Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Gita Dhyanam. Bhagavad Gita Dhyana Shlokangal. There are a total of 9 Dhyana Shlokas for Bhagavad Gita. Usually, when there are big shlokas, there will be something called a Dhyana Mantra, where we meditate upon the deity. In this case, the deity is Bhagavad Gita itself. Dhyana Shlokam is designed for Bhagavad Gita. So, the Bhagavad Gita scripture itself we are trying to meditate. And of course, who told Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavan Krishna. So, meditating upon both of them are these 9 Dhyana Shlokas. First, it starts with Om. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam. Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam. Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayini Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhava Dveshini. So the first shloka starts with Om. It is so beautiful the way Vyasa Rishi has written Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is the crux of the Vedas. Vedas Moola Mantram is the Pranava Mantram Om. The Dhyana Mantram also beautifully starts with chanting with Om. It talks about the universe itself, the Paramatma himself who is omnipresent. Everything is from that Om Mantram. So starting like this itself is the significance of Bhagavad Gita. The first verse is a Gita Namaskara verse. Bhagavad Gita is addressed as the mother. Hey Amba, you are Saraswati Devi, the mother, who will nourish my internal personality. The Bhagavad Gita mother, by feeding me with food of wisdom, will nourish my inner thinking. This happens by feeding me with the wisdom of Karma Yoga in the beginning stages, wisdom of Upasana Yoga in the later stages, and also wisdom of Jnana Yoga when I substantially grow up. Tvam Anusandhami, I meditate upon you. Parthaya Pratibodhitam, a teaching which has been taught, Pratibodhitam, to whom? To Arjuna, who is Parthaya. By whom? By the Lord Bhagavata, Narayana, Narayanesa, by himself, which is Swayam. Who has compiled it? Grathitam, Vyasa Rishi, Vyasacharya, the Muni, who has given us the Puranas, Purana Munina. He has given Bhagavad Gita, which is occurring in the middle of Mahabharatam, Madhye Mahabharatam, when Arjuna faces a crisis. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatim, showers Varshinim, the wisdom or nectar, Amritam, of non-dual infinite truth, Advaita, and is in 18 chapters, Ashtadashadhyayini. Bhagavad Gita helps in destroying samsara. Samsara means self-dissatisfaction. It only drives a person to go from one activity to another. Moksha is complete satisfaction with whom I am and what I am. Bhagavad Gita is destroyer of samsara. Now let us look at the meaning of the second verse. Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pulla Ravindaya Tapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Teila Purnaha Prajwalito Jnanamayaha Pradipaha. Vyasacharya, the great erudition in terms of vastness, which is his intellect, his wisdom, Vishala Buddhe, and the depth in his understanding. The one who has beautiful eyes, Netra, which is like the petals of a fully bloomed lotus. Pulla Ravindaya Tapatra Netra. You are so great because you have Prajwalito, lighted. What have you lighted? The lamp, Deepaha. What lamp? Jnanamayaha, the lamp of wisdom, with the help of oil of Mahabharata. Bharata Teila Purnam. Therefore, I offer you my Namaskaram. So, salutations unto thee, O Vyasa of broad intellect and with eyes like petals of full blown lotus, by whom the lamp of knowledge filled with the oil of Mahabharata has been lighted. Let us now move on to the meaning of the third verse. Prapanna parijataya totra vetrai kapanaye jnana mudraya krishnaya gita mritaduhe namaha. Our namaskarams to Lord Krishna, who has the following description. Krishna is compared to Parijata Vriksha for those people who surrender to him, Prapanna. So, salutations to Lord Krishna. The Parijata tree or the Kalpataru tree. Why is he compared to the Kalpataru tree? Because he is the bestower of all desires for those who take refuge in him. Ekapanaye, he is holding in one hand. What is he holding? He is holding the whip in one hand, the wielder of the symbol of knowledge, and the milker of the nectar of the Bhagavad Gita. So in one hand he is holding the whip, and in the other hand he is having the Jnana Mudra or the Chin Mudra. Chin Mudra is a symbolic representation of the philosophical teaching contained in the Gita and which is contained in the Upanishads. The wisdom of immortality is being symbolically conveyed as a Chin Mudra. Hey Krishna, to you, Duhe, I offer my Namaskaram, Namaha. So, salutations to Krishna, the Parijata tree or the Kalpataru tree, or the bestower of all desires for those who take refuge in him, the holder of the whip in one hand, the wielder of the symbol of knowledge, and the milker of the nectar of the Bhagavad Gita. We will look at the meaning of the next Dhyana Shloka, number 4. Sarvo Panishado Gavo Dogdha Gopala Nandanaha Partho Vatsak Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gita Mritam Mahat. This is again another Gita Namaskara verse. Gita is not the philosophy of Lord Krishna or even Vyasacharya. It is the teaching which is contained in the Vedas. Vedas are the original scriptures which have been existing in our culture from a very long time. The young portion of the Vedas is called the Upanishads, which alone gives us the self-knowledge, and Bhagavad Gita is the essence of the Upanishads. To convey this message in this verse, there is an analogy. Sarvo, which means all. Upanishado, Upanishads. What are they like? They are like Gavo, they are like cows. The expert milker, that is Dogdha, of the Upanishadic essence is Krishna, the son, Nandanaha, of Gopala. When the cow has to give milk, generally the calf is kept in front of the cow. Same way, Arjuna, Partho Vatsa, is like the calf and milk, Dugdham. And what is to be enjoyed? Bhokta. Bhokta means to be enjoyed. What is to be enjoyed? The great and glorious Mahat, Gita Amritam, which is Gita Mridam. So, all the Upanishads are cows. The milker is Krishna. The cowherd boy, Partha, Arjuna, is the calf. Men of purified intellect are the drinkers. The milk is the great nectar of the Gita. Verse number 5. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Krishnam Vande, I offer my namaskaram to Lord Krishna, who is great at 3 levels. Firstly, as the son of Vasudeva, Vasudeva Sutam, and a great source of joy, Paramanandam, to whom? To Devaki. Lord Krishna is great as a member of a family. Next, as the killer of Kamsa and Chanura, Kamsa Chanura Mardanam. He did good to the society. Finally, he helped by being a guru to the world, that is Jagat. How? By teaching Bhagavad Gita through Arjuna. So, I salute Lord Krishna, the world teacher, son of Vasudeva, the destroyer of Kamsa, and Chanura, the supreme bliss of Devaki. Let us now look at the meaning of the 6th verse. Bhishma Drona Tata Jayadra Thajala Gandhara Neelotpala शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थाम विकर्ण घोर मकरा दुर्योधना वर्तिनी सोतीर्णा खलु पांडवै रणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः. The expression कैवर्तकः केशवः refers to a boatman Krishna, and he is able to steer the boat even in the most difficult situations. In this verse, the Mahabharata war is compared to a treacherous river with so many varieties of dangers lurking. The Mahabharata war is supposed to have taken place in 3102 BC. The Pandavas, Pandavaha, they had to cross the river to save themselves, and this was the biggest challenge in their lives. A person who is caught in such a situation is called Artha Purushaha, helpless man. In this river-like situation, Bhishma and Drona were the two shores or banks which determined the direction of the war, that is the river. The waters were none other than Jayadratha, the Sindhu king. The king Shubala and prince Shakuni of Gandhara Desam, they are compared to blue lily, that is Nilotpala. It is very attractive, but when you approach it, it will trap you. Salya, a king of Madra Deshaha, Madri, Pandu's wife, comes from Madra Deshaha, was like a crocodile. Grahavati, Kripacharya, a great archer who was the teacher of Pandavas, was like the powerful undercurrent of the water. Vahni, Karna was like a turbulent Akula, whale, which is waves in the water. Makara is a type of man-eating fish, and Ashwathama, son of Kripacharya, and Vikarna, brother of Duryodhana, are compared to these horrible fish, which is Ghora. Duryodhana was like a whirlpool, Avartaha, where Nadi Rana, in the river of war. So with Keshava, Krishna as the helmsman, steering the boat or a ship, very easily was crossed by the Pandavas. The battled river, whose banks were Bhishma and Drona, whose water was Jayadratha, whose blue lotus was the king of Gandhara, whose crocodile was Salya, whose current was Kripa, whose billow was Karna, whose terrible alligators were Ashwathama and Vikarna, whose whirlpool was Duryodhana. Now we will look at the meaning of the next verse, number 7. Para Sharya Vachaha Saroja Mamalam Geetartha Gandhotkatam Nana Khyana Kakesaram Harikatha Sambodha Nabodhitam Loke Sajjana Shatpadairaharaha पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद् भारत पंकजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे. First is Namaskaram to Mahabharatam itself, which comes in the 7th verse. Bharata pankajam kalimala pradhyavamsinyah shreyase bhuyad. Mahabharata is a work composed by Vyasacharya, which comes under the scriptural literature Itihasa. Itihasa is a scriptural literature which is partially based on history. Since Mahabharatam deals with Bharata Vamsha, the dynasty of Bharata, it is called Bharatam. Mahabharatam has 1,00,000 verses. The verse says, let the scripture be Naha Shreyase. Let it be a source, that is Bhuyad, of what? Shreyas, which means well-being, prosperity, happiness for all of us. May the study of Mahabharata enrich and transform my personality and also help me grow physically, emotionally, intellectually and spiritually. Parasharya Vachaha Saroja Mamalam. Here Mahabharatam is compared to a lotus. A lotus is very attractive due to its beauty, fragrance and honey. Bharata Pankajam refers to Mahabharatam lotus. A lotus is born in a pond. If Mahabharata is compared to a lotus, then the pond is compared to Parasharya, Vyasacharya or Parasharaha's son. The pond is compared to which part of Vyasacharya? It is compared to Vachaha, which is the mouth. So Vyasacharya's mouth is compared to a pond, Saraha. Amalam Geetartha Gandhotkatam. Amalam, it is a flower without any impurity. Interestingly, one of the words for a lotus is Pankajam. Panka meaning slush or muddied water. So just like a lotus is pure even if it is born in muddied water, similarly the Mahabharatam is pure, Amalam, without any dosha. Geetartha Gandhotkatam. This Mahabharatam lotus is extremely attractive. Utkatam meaning prominent, popular, famous and attractive. Hence Mahabharata lotus has such a powerful fragrance that anybody around will be attracted. The fragrance is Gita Arthaha, the teachings. In fact, Mahabharata is attractive because of Gita. Nana Khyana Kake Saram Harikatha Sambodha Nabodhitam. Any flower has thread-like filaments. The Mahabharata is like a flower. The Kesaram, which is filaments. And how are they? They are like Nana Akhyanakam. Akhyanakam meaning stories. Lotuses are of two types, buds and fully bloomed ones. And only the fully bloomed ones are beautiful. Similarly, the Mahabharata lotus is a fully blossomed lotus, expanded, abodhitam, with sambodhanam, which is narration. Of what? Harikatha, the stories of Lord Krishna. Loke sajjana shatpadeira haraha pepiyamanam muda. The honey bees are attracted by the honey of the flowers, right? Similarly, the Mahabharata also contains lot of wisdom on subjects under the sun, including religion, philosophy, psychology, sociology and human relationships. So, all the students are like honey bees. Shatpada, six-legged ones. Sajjana refers to noble people who have an open mind and approach the scriptures. So the line says, the honey of wisdom is being repeatedly sucked. Pepiya manam, very very happily. How? By inquiring into and analyzing the Mahabharata, ahar ahaha, day in and day out. Kalimala pradhvam sinaha shreyase. The Mahabharata is a literature which can destroy the problem prevalent in the materialistic universe. Kali Yuga is known for materialism. The very word Kali means fight and quarrel. Kali Yuga, impurity, is removed by the destroyer called Mahabharata. So now let us move on to the meaning of the next verse, number 8. Mukam karoti vachalam pankum langhyate girim yatkripa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam. Paramananda madhavam vande. I salute Madhava. Ma is Lakshmi. Dhavaha is consort, who is the source of prime happiness. Paramanandam. That Lord Karoti, makes. What does he make? Mukam, which is a mute person, talk, if only he surrenders to the Lord. Vachalam means talk. Also, Pangum, a lame person, is made to climb a mountain. Langhyate girim. That grace of Yatkripa, that grace of Madhava, makes all this possible. Tam, that Madhava, I salute to him. Aham Vande. For a Gita student, the mountain is the Gita study only. So, I salute that Madhava, the source of supreme bliss, whose grace makes the dumb man eloquent and the cripple cross the mountains. Let us now move on to the last verse, number 9. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stuvanti Divyaiha Stavaihi Vedai Sang Padakramo Panishadair Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyana Vasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Na Viduhu Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Namaha, my namaskarams to Tasmai, to that Lord Devaya, which God is glorified, which is Tunvanti, by what? Divyaihi Stavair, by divine hymns, by so many other deities like Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Maruta. All the devotees of the Lord glorify and Gayanti, sing like chanters of the Samaveda. Samaveda is specifically mentioned since it is in musical form. Not only the Vedas, but secondary Vedic scriptures, Veda Anga, which is meant to elaborate the Vedas and types of chanting the Vedas. Pada and Kramaha, others being Jata and Ghana. Yam Yogino Pashyanti Manasa. The great meditators see with a mind which is concentrated on the Lord with one pointed mind in the state of meditation, Dhyana Avishtha. Like this, they sing praises. Devotees see the Lord inside, while the yogis see the Lord inside. Even though God takes a personal form for the sake of his devotees, the real God is not a person. This is because a person is limited by space and time, and Lord does not have any such limitations. Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Even the gods and asuras do not know the limit related to space and time of that of the Lord. Tasmai, to that all-pervading Lord, Namaha, I offer my namaskarams. So with this, the meaning of the 9 Dhyana shlokas is completed. Please practice chanting the 9 Dhyana shlokas along with the meaning. Periva Sharanam.